Hi, Jenny. Home.
Okay, so on this one, y'all to see coming down, man. I'm telling y'all, this one crazy.
Oh, hi. Have a good day.
A lovely day.
Meet John Jemison.
What are we doing?
Oh, hi.
Hello.
And Neil Richardson.
Did you enjoy it this morning?
It's been a busy morning.
You could be forgiven for thinking they are the same person.
Yes, it was very exciting.
But you're looking at two completely unrelated men.
What we got for dinner?
Don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Do you know what's for dinner tonight?
I don't know. Have you thought about it?
John and Neil are doppelgangers. Two people who share uncanny similarities, which in their case extends way beyond the physical.
After 50 years of marriage, you still don't know what I want for dinner.
I'm out there flogging myself to death all bloody day. Right, you can't even sort out what we're going to have for dinner?
Arms.
50 years.
I'm trying to work out how I'm sitting opposite two gentlemen who look so alike. How do you explain it, John?
Neil's good fortune.
There probably are two or three very close replicas of all of us. With all the billions of humans on the planet, it's not surprising. We're actually very inbred. Our gene pool is not that varied.
But what is even more surprising is that John and Neil live just around the corner from each other.
Never.
John and Jenny have lived in Braintree, Essex, all their married life.
It's a horrible thought, isn't it?
By sheer coincidence, Neil and Marion moved here a few years ago after Neil hung up his vicar robes. And that's when the lives of both men took a bizarre turn.
I moved to Braintree and I knew nobody, absolutely nobody in the town. So I was very surprised to find people waving at me. Couldn't quite see why, because I didn't know anybody.
Did you just think, my goodness, they're friendly. They're a friendly bunch here in Braintree.
That was my thought, exactly. I thought.
Yeah, you said that to me. So they're very friendly in this place, aren't they?
Lots of people
Everyone's
wave.
waving at me. I feel like I've lived here my whole life.
Yes.
And then someone said, "Hello, John," and waved again. And people came up to me and said, "Hello, John, how are you today?" And then we went to the cafe in the middle of Braintree, and this bloke came over from another table and said, "My wife says you're John Jemison." And I said, "He must be a good-looking chap," but no, it's not me. And the manager of the cafe came out from the back and said, "Hello, John, how are you?" So I said, "Look, come here." "I'm not John, I'm Neil." And he said, "Oh, John, stop mucking about, don't be silly." So I had to get my credit card out of my pocket and prove to him that my name was Neil, not John.
It must have been a fascinating idea in your mind. Who is this John?
It was. I kept thinking, I must try and find out who he is. And he looks like me, so I'll look for him. And I looked around where shopping, I looked at people's faces and things like that. But no, didn't see anyone.
It was a whole year before Neil ran into this John Jemison chap. Both were on a day trip with a local history group. Here's how John remembers their meeting.
As I got on the coach, I was approached by a man that I've not met before. It was really quite weird when this chap with a beard said, "Excuse me, I'm guessing that you're John Jemison." "Yes," I said with a bow. "What have I done now?" "Oh, nothing at all. Please don't fret. I've been called by your name and it drives me insane, so I thought it was time that we met."
And what a fortuitous meeting that turned out to be.
I'm shocked by your priority.
John and Neil discovered a shared love of poetry is just one of many things they had in common.
Have you any questions?
Rattle off the similarities you both have, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Well, we both trained to be teachers in the same teacher training college, although not at the same time.
We both started teaching exactly the same subject, religious education, which isn't exactly a usual subject.
We both proposed to the women that would become our wives within a short space of time, 1 or 2 weeks of meeting them, and 50 odd years later we're still at it. Have you been in a beehive?
No.
And for the grand crescendo, you have sons that play a particular instrument. What do they play, please?
They both play didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo.
How do you have two sons that play the didgeridoo? Help me, my mind is doing leaps and bounds. I can't get my head around that.
It's strange, isn't it? Yeah, it's an accident of fate, really.
We have no idea. No idea. It's crazy.
But as we'll see tonight, Neil and John aren't the only ones with the crazy good luck of finding their doppelgangers. It's thought that everyone on Earth has a lookalike. Now scientists are asking the question, why? Is it all just a mad coincidence, or is there some other deeper explanation?
I am Neil.
I'm Terence.
And I'm Harry.
We've set ourselves a challenge, and we have 1 month starting from today to find people that look really, really like us or almost completely identical.
It started as a bit of a lark. Niamh Gainey and her friends set themselves a challenge to find their doppelgangers.
I was like, yeah, I'll just do this for a bit of fun. Like, will I really find someone? Like, what are the chances? I'll never find someone.
But when Niamh, who back then was a brunette, took her search online, she didn't just find one doppelganger.
You'll find somebody, baby. Keep looking, goddammit.
She found 3. A girl from Italy.
Here she is.
And, unbelievably, 2 local lasses from her hometown of Dublin.
When I met Karen, my first doppelganger, I mean, the first few hours we didn't really say much to each other. We were just like looking at each other silently.
Really?
Yeah.
You were just gazing longingly into each
it
other's
was,
eyes?
It was kind of like this, you know?
Tommy.
Almost kind of looking at the sides, because you don't nearly want to do, you know, like stare at each other, because it's weird. It's cool. It's really cool, but it's weird.
Because it does actually get to the heart of your own image of yourself.
Yeah. Because like part of your identity is your image.
A big part of it.
Because you meet these people who look exactly like you or almost completely like you, but yet behind that you have different personality traits, different confidence levels. Even though you look the exact same, you don't act completely the same.
Niamh, tell me about the time you met your second doppelganger.
So Louisa was my second doppelganger.
Oh my god.
And I flew over to Italy to meet her. So great to meet you and meet your face. We have this thing in our cheek here, this little line.
And here.
Oh, it's a very strange experience to find yourself in, you know, meeting someone that looks like you.
What about your third doppelganger?
My third doppelganger, Irene, came I think 2 or 3 months later.
Is it unsettling?
It's unsettling, but it's amazing.
Hi!
Oh my god, that's crazy. Oh my god, come here.
So weird.
Alright, so she don't only have 2. She got 3. Comment below.
It really kicks you back a notch because you think you're special and unique and there's no one in the world that's like you, and then you meet someone who looks, you know, identical to you, and then you realize, oh, you're not as unique as you thought you were.
It's a puzzling human phenomenon. Lookalikes like John and Neil, Niamh and her 3 doppelgangers are more common than you might think. In fact, it's said that most of us have at least one dead ringer out there somewhere. How do you explain it?
So far, there is no explanation for it.
But could there be a scientific reason, something deep in our DNA, that solves the mystery? Sarah and Shannon look remarkably similar, but as far as they know, they're not blood relatives. The experience of actually meeting someone that you would consider to be a doppelganger, what does it feel like?
Well, for me, it feels like you know them.
Yeah, same actually.
It's like a stranger, but you know them. It's like you can trust them because they look like you, which is probably bad, but do you know what I mean? But like, there was no awkwardness ever. You're such a good jawline. It's actually so unfair.
You're a lot more outgoing and social.
Yeah, I think it's a Swedish thing, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just that.
No. Yeah, I'd be quite social, and Sarah's very quiet. Like,
Poor old Sarah can't get a word in.
no. But like, we'd walk down the street and I'd be like, hi. oh hi, and she's like, why are you talking to strangers? Like, I'm just saying hi. She's like, you don't do that, do you?
No.
I think it's an Irish thing though. I'd be going hi.
Shannon and Sarah wanted to know how two people born thousands of kilometres apart could look so alike. There had to be an explanation, so they decided to take part in a Dopplegangers study.
So who's who?
Headed by genetics professor Tim Spector at King's College in London.
You actually believe from a scientific perspective that everyone has one, that there's a doppelganger out there for each of us?
Depending on how you define a doppelganger, yes. It's kind of weird when you think about it. We do have some other twins, pseudo-twins out there, walking around looking that could take our place quite easily.
Professor Spector became curious about lookalikes when he saw this photo of two ginger-haired strangers on a plane.
Everyone kept stopping them saying they look like identical twins, and these pictures went viral around the internet.
He decided to study the phenomenon, comparing doppelgangers like Shannon and Sarah using the most advanced facial mapping systems available. This 6-camera setup takes shots simultaneously, giving 3D images which can measure every contour of the face. Even though the girls aren't related, the similarities were astonishing.
You can hardly tell the difference. I would have thought this is the same nose.
Yeah, so you're getting a score of 90% on that.
Really? It's like a twin score.
Yes, exactly like a twin score. So you have twin noses.
Right, 1, 2, 3, go.
Shannon and Sarah might look near identical, but DNA testing proved their resemblance is only skin deep. Genetically, they are strangers. Neve and her doppelganger Irene also had their DNA tested. Irene's ancestors came from the Middle East, while Neve is of Western Asian descent.
So there you have it. Not sisters, not half-sisters, not even related up to 20,000 years ago. Mental.
Oh yeah. They don't know half our secrets.
Really?
But what about John and Neil? Could these peas in a pod be the product of mere coincidence? Professor Spector invited them to take part in the study as well. When you went to London for this experiment, did you believe it was real?
I had my doubts, but once we saw the equipment and we met Professor Spector, we found out who he was and what his qualifications were and how serious he was. He looks like an ordinary bloke. You know, he doesn't look like a professor or some sort of famous doctor, but he is. And he was applying scientific criteria to everything about us.
I love that you two blokes thought, even as you're in London, you weren't convinced that this wasn't a stitch-up and that, maybe this was all
Well, it
fun and
just
games.
seemed like a load of fluff. Okay, so we look like each other. So what?
So what? Yeah.
Let's look at the eyes, and I think these are amazingly similar.
Yeah, they are.
And we got a score for about 81% similarity on that. This is close to what we're getting on our identical twin scores.
Gosh.
Their noses are an even closer match.
Well, you were 90%.
Really?
Yeah. That's amazing. Really undistinguishable from identical twins.
I mean, you could put one of those over the top of the other and you'd hardly notice anything.
The nose, the eyes, and the lips were very similar on them. We just ignored the fact that the jaws were very different.
John and Neil's similarities go way beyond their facial features.
What about body language? I noticed talking to them, that they would have their hands clasped like this, similar, or, they'd cross their arms in the same way. Is that something that you actually noted and studied?
I noted it informally. We didn't have a way of actually testing it. And it's something you do notice also in identical twins. They will pick up a teacup the same way. They will open a can of beer with the same finger. All these reflex actions.
You both have phenomenal respect for each other as writers, and you value each other's opinions. I've seen John coming to you, Neil, for advice on something he's written and vice versa. I mean, there is a mutual respect there, isn't there?
Oh yes, I've asked John's advice on several occasions about what I've written,
And he's had the good sense to ignore it on every occasion.
There we go. To the surprise of John and Neil, the Dopplegangers study revealed their vast similarities may
Look, they both got that arm swing and everything, bro.
in fact be the result of a shared ancestor that neither of them knew anything about.
John, you can see here these darker or filled in colours are where the bulk of your DNA comes from. And when you compare that to Neil's, look at that. I mean, you're almost exactly the same. You're ethnically twins, if you like.
Although one small variance has come as a crushing blow to John.
Where his was Finland and Sweden, and therefore he
Dude was looking like, I look better.
becomes more Viking than me, right? Mine was Irish.
Is that a sore point that he's more Viking than you?
Of course.
Why?
I've always thought of myself as being so almost pure Viking.
Well, Neil tells me you have Viking fingers.
I do.
That's a party trick. That's one way if anyone's, getting around Braintree and really needs to tell you apart. The finger
show me
trick.
your fingers.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say.
Yeah, the trouble is, if somebody says show you your fingers, you're tempted to do that.
That's very Essex.
Why are you refusing to give me any light?
Now, all this talk about doppelgangers got me thinking, is there someone out there lucky or unlucky enough to be my dead ringer? With Niamh's help, I'm about to find out.
Perfect.
Using facial recognition software and a search engine, my very own doppelganger is just a click away.
This is a brutal kind of experiment, isn't it? Okay. Tell me you're having some sort of an uproarious laugh. He's 80.
Could be looking at your future self there.
This has been a tough morning.
It's
Look, he looks friendly. He does look well fed. I like eating things. Maybe that is me.
Hey, no shade, bro. Y'all looking like, hey, no shade. Y'all looking like, comment below.
Oh, I've come full circle.
Yeah, in a few years.
This is a walkout.
Comment below, guys.